5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the SF in Translation podcast. I'm Rachel Cordasco.
And I'm Daniel Hauser.
And we are recording this on September 2nd. And we're basically just going to be talking about what we've been reading and hearing about over the summer. Because we had a summer hiatus, but now we're back. But things are kind of crazy in the beginning of the school year. So this is just going to be probably a little shorter, but that's fine. Anything, Daniel, that you were really excited about this summer?
I was excited. I was doing research away from town, and that gave me the opportunity to have spare time for more reading. And so I was very excited to get to read a few SF in Translation copies that I had. And so I now need to catch up on all the reviews to write, but it definitely gave me a chance to catch up on the backlog of titles that I had laying around.
Yeah, when we were on our road trip this summer, I swear I just plow through the books because I don't do the driving, so I just sit and read, and I don't get car sick.
Oh, that's so nice that I get car sick, and so that's one thing I can't, unfortunately.
I thank the good Lord for giving me the ability to read in a moving vehicle, because I got through, what did I read? I'm trying to remember. Oh, I read the Liu Cixin Supernova Era, which is just nuts in a good way. I love it. That's coming out in, let me see. Is that November that's coming out? Let me see. October. Good birthday present for me.
Not too long from now then.
Yeah. And it, what else? Oh, I read, this, Tamil, novel about, kind of a ghostly visitation to a small town and grisly murders and stuff like that. And that was pretty interesting. And then I started on, Rodrigo Frazan's The Dreamed Part, which is the second book, following The Invented Part. And that book is like 500 and some pages, like big, larger trim size. So it's taken me a very, very long time to read that. But it's pretty great. So yeah, all the reading that we can do over the summer is good.
Yeah, I finally got through the French text of Vestige.
Yes.
And so I'm planning on writing something up for, I guess, either SF in Translation site or just my blog site. I don't know where I'll end up putting it, because you already had yours as well, that you wrote for Strange Horizons, right? Wherever you want it, it's fine with me.
No, it's wherever you want it, because I'm happy to take it.
I'll probably put it on mine too, just because,
Oh, yeah. Crosspost.
Yeah, the bigger the audience for this, that can be sort of built up, I think the better, because it is an absolutely fantastic space opera, or start to one.
Right? There are 4
so
volumes.
As soon as I can get the money to get the next one, I will, because, getting a paperback in French from either France or Canada ends up costing basically the price of a new hardback book usually. So it's rare that I have to save up for those in terms of the spending money. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading the next volume of this one. And yeah, hopefully somebody translate it so you can enjoy the rest of the story as well.
I know. I don't think unless and until somebody picks it up in English,
right.
They're probably not going to translate the other 3. But yeah, it's so great. I want to know what happens.
So then I also, God, I guess I read all the French. I've read The Weight of Snow, which we've talked about
Oh,
in a previous
yes.
podcast, and I adored it, but I would hesitate to call it speculative fiction at all. It's literature. It's brilliant. It is set in like a post-apocalyptic kind of backdrop, and it's a sequel to one you've read, the translation, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
Running
so,
on fumes.
and is
Yes.
that one pretty clearly in a
No, it is a very slight like magical realist post-apocalyptic setting. Yeah.
okay? So there's not much magical realism in this one, I wouldn't say,
Mhm.
but nonetheless, I would say that the themes of the story still go along with themes that you would see in a post-apocalyptic novel. It's just very, very self-contained because it's about people trapped in a cabin, basically, when there's a shit ton of snow outside. So, yeah, a brilliant, but not what I originally expected, maybe. Yeah, so that's another one that I'll need to write up some things on. That's still one that I'm still kind of, it's ruminating in my mind because there's a lot, it's deceptively simple. Um, in a way, I enjoyed much more than, like, say, Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
I was thinking of McCarthy. Yes.
I know people love that novel, but I actually really, really disliked it. It was so simple that I found it dull. And so many other people have written within speculative fiction, authors have written that better, I thought. Um, in any case, this one I definitely enjoyed. And then the other that I didn't get to read much in the original French, unfortunately, was Whiskey Tales. And so that collection, I'm also really keen to write up about because I loved it, but I discovered things about the author that bear talking about as well. So that should be an interesting review to write as well. I'm definitely looking forward to reading more from him, though. Still, so
Yeah, genre. As I've learned about him, I mean, that whole, uh, era of like, people writing, symbolism and surrealism and, decadent and Dada and just like future. I just like lots of things going on in the early 20th century. And it's good that, Wakefield is publishing a lot more,
oh yes.
of his stuff. So,
And they have more previous things out from other authors of the Belgian Weird, I think. So I'm going to have to look at their catalog. And I know they have another genre collection out soon, or maybe even just out. I forget the release, but that's the sort of this weird, dark fantasy bordering on horror, particularly from this era, is something that I really gravitate toward. And I think it's because I grew up reading John Belair's novels. And this has that same sort of atmospheric, uncanny aspect to it that I enjoy from, like, say, like an M.R. James, or trying to think, not Lovecraft, but another one like him. I have collections. I can't think now. Anyway.
well, the latest one is called Cruise of Shadows: Haunted Stories of Land and Sea, coming out in December.
So yeah, the sea is a recurring setting, or sailors are recurring characters, and of course, all of his tales involve whiskey, at least in Whiskey Tales. And yeah, so it's just the mood of the whole thing I adored.
Yeah, the people were writing a lot about that kind of thing. It makes me think about, it was Monet's painting of the woman sitting there with a glass of brandy in front of her, or absinthe or something, looking super drunk, right? And what was that, like the 1880s or something? Anyway, they like to.
You know art better than I.
I don't know. I could
There's
be
a
wildly
Degas,
off.
apparently.
Oh, yeah.
The
Is it
absinthe
maybe
drinker.
absinthe drinker? That might be it. Yeah, because that didn't seem very Monet-ish. But yeah, they all liked writing about painting, being sloshed. But that's okay. Well, so I guess looking at June, if I even, I mean, I probably read a bunch of these stories and I just don't remember. This was a long time ago. June was like another year, but, Clark's World is continuing to publish, Korean, SF in translation. And based on, your reviews and some of the stuff I've read, it seems to be a little rocky. Like some stories seem, are really well told, good length and stuff, and other stories seem like either too long or kind of unclear. I'm trying to think of.
To be fair, a lot of that comes from my own taste.
It's
harder for me to connect with a novella.
Yeah, novellas
I in
are
general
weird.
find novellas to be weird and unnecessary. There have been plenty I've read that I'm like, yeah, this is great, and actually it's a perfect length. I just think they're done far more often than they need to be.
It's a very strange length, yes.
And so yeah, even when they were doing the Chinese, which they're still doing, I guess, Clark's World in general, for my personal taste, has always been ups and downs. There's some things I really adore, other things I'm kind of not my favorite. So, and that's fine.
Yeah, I wish I could have. Let me tell you, I wish I could have gone to Worldcon.
Oh yeah,
if only to be listening to the panels on international SF, and I know Neil was on a couple of those, and
thankfully he got there.
Yeah, I mean that must have been hellish trying to get to Ireland. But I wish I could have just teleported there and listened to all them talk about it, because there's a lot going on, more and more. I mean, in June, a new issue of Future Science Fiction Digest came out, so that's 3 new stories from Russian, Bulgarian, and Chinese, and then Samovar also had stories out from Russian and Arabic.
Yes.
And of course, today, being September 2nd, I just saw that a new issue of Strange Horizons came out. I haven't looked closely at what the stories are yet, but I was glad to see that.
That is good news. The Future Science Fiction Digest I've really become a quick fan of.
Yeah, it's good quality stuff.
Alex's taste and mine seem to mesh up often.
Yeah,
I guess, and so
yeah, he's got a really good. He can just read something and immediately see, what's making it work, what's making it not work. And I think our tastes are kind of generally similar. I think he probably has a little more of a, he's got a more discerning eye since he's been an editor and a translator and an author, and so I'm kind of like, oh, that's cool, and he's like, it doesn't work. But generally, yeah, I agree with kind of some of the stories where it's like, there's just something missing, or it's too long, or I must say I did listen to the story in Clark's World from July, Wu Ding's Journey to the West.
Oh, okay. I still have to read that one.
Yeah,
I have to go back for the July ones.
Well, Tang Fei is has so much out. I mean, there's a lot out in English. It was translated by Andy Dudak, who just does wonderful work, and I wonder if with this story I should read it along with having listened to it, because I was really interested in a lot of the ideas, but I felt like I was missing some things, like I wasn't understanding certain things, because it's about like a world with reverse entropy, and some people kind of get younger and younger and younger and then become babies, and then other people age normally, and it's a world where people are like, well, we need a road, so the road will come. It'll happen. And they just wait around.
Spontaneously appear. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It grows out of the
Interesting.
ground. And buildings sprout like plants. It's amazing. So, it is, yeah, that was really fascinating. And of course, July also had a new story by Teresa de Echeverria, Argentinian author who I just love every single thing she writes. So anytime I see anything that she has ever written, I read it because I just love her. That's the big thing. A couple weeks ago, did you see the NPR review of Automatic Eve? Did you see that?
No.
So Silvia Moreno Garcia reviewed this novel from Haikasoro, one of my favorite imprints. And she mentions, and I was reading this going like, wow, this is great. Haikasoro getting all this attention.
Oh,
and
that they're closing.
Yeah, she mentioned something about that going on hiatus. I was like, what? And so I asked around, and yeah, sure enough, they're, it's that, maybe they'll come back kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at least a decade old. I think it's older than that,
wow.
But that's a really bad thing.
Yeah.
That Haikasoro. I mean, the sheer number. I'm definitely going to put together a list of everything that they've published, all the Japanese speculative fiction that they've published, and it's going to be a huge number. And I'm telling you, every single one I've read has been excellent.
Did they put out the translation of Parasite Eve, or was that a larger imprint?
That was Vertical.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. This is Automatic Eve. Yeah. No, that's a good point, because Vertical, Kurodahan, and Haikasoro, between the three of them, it's got to be hundreds of titles. So much great stuff. But I have to say, I've just read so much Haikasoro, and it's, a real shame and a blow to SF in translation that they're not going to be around for the foreseeable future. So I was really mad.
Mm-hmm. If anything, we need more, not less. Yeah. But so many of these, I'm sure, are labors of love, and
exactly.
So much like people, put a lot of time and effort into.
But they're part of Viz Media, which is like a big manga.
Oh, okay. So it should, have support.
I don't know what their deal is. Maybe it was like, it's probably just a business thing, and it's like, wow, but still, I'm still mad. I don't care. And I've seen on Twitter a lot of people saying, Haikasoro, my favorite novel is from Haikasoro, and, I've read so much of their stuff, and, I don't think anything's going to change because, we're not out with pitchforks, but believe me, if I had a pitchfork,
rabble.
yeah, I'd be there wherever there is, in California or something. I don't know. That really sucked. That was bad. So, I think it's a good idea, buy. Who knows what's going to happen. So, if you haven't bought or gotten it from the library, just get all the Haikasoro books you can.
Mm-hmm. Before they go out of print.
Yeah, and just because they're seriously they're gems. And I've just started Legend of the Galactic Heroes Volume 9, and I was really scared because I found this out just before I found out about Volume 10. I was like, no, they need to finish. And someone, Charles Tan, I think, messaged me and was like, Volume 10's coming out in December. And I was like, oh, okay.
At least there's that. Yeah.
Start freaking out. I was like, whoa. Because this is taken since I think they started in 2016 publishing the Legend of the Galactic Heroes. So it's like, man, you gotta finish. You can't just leave it. That's no. So anyway, I've just been I hate when that stuff happens.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they do come back.
Man, that'd be great. There's the Italian kind of micro press Acheron that put out just a ton of stuff, Italian SF and English, in like 2014 and 2015, and then bam, you never heard from them again. So, yeah. Anyway, anything that caught your attention this past month that came out?
I've been mostly out of it, which I guess is the usual with my focusing on other realms. But the one thing I had heard mention, it was being done a while back, but just got an email today actually from Toshia Kamai that Mexican writer and editor Livia Brenda now has A Larger Reality 2.0 is released. And so it's a new bilingual anthology. I really enjoyed the first one. And so I downloaded it. So I'm looking forward to reading that one too. And so you can find that at alargerreality.mx /2019.
Yes, that looked very interesting.
It looks like twice the length as well, so as the first one was. So
yeah, August also, it was just a very interesting mix. There was The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, and everybody's like, Ogawa's awesome. And I'm like, I haven't read anything by Yoko Ogawa, so I really want to. And also The Heart of the Circle by Karen Landsman, which was translated from the Hebrew by Daniela Zamir, from Angry Robot, came out on the 13th of August.
Oh, yes.
And it is Israeli high fantasy about sorcerers and, acceptance, the description made me think of like X-Men type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I can, that's one I wanted to look for at the bookstore too. Can usually find Angry Robot titles. So
Angry Robot's pretty great. I was very excited to see that. And then on the heels of that, I found out about another work of Hebrew SFT, which is coming out. Again, I must look it up. It is coming out in this month. Huh, look at that. Edgar Carrett's collection called Fly Already, and it seems like one of those, mix of fantastic, absurd, George Saunders-ish type, and there's a picture of a fish on the cover, and he's smoking, and he's wearing slippers.
Where is that fishy fish?
Oh, look at that. There's a blurb from George Saunders.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's from where's it from? Riverhead, otherwise known as Penguin Random House, of course. But yeah, that was pretty exciting. When I saw Edgar Carrett, I know that he writes in English. I mean, most Israeli writers write in English, but I was very happy to see that he actually wrote this one. These stories are originally in Hebrew and is translated by like a freaking team of people. It's like all the people translated these stories. So that's also very
interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I like it. So I'm interested in reading that, but there is too much. I just my God,
too much to read. Yeah.
It is so crazy.
What are you reading right now?
So right now, I'm kind of reading I was reading 3 books at the same time.
Isn't that normal?
Yeah, not really. I don't really like doing that, but I just,
okay.
There's certain books where it's like, I can read this book while the kids are running through the house.
Right.
But I can read that book only when I need like total concentration. Yeah. So
this is why I have like 8 going at the same time.
Yeah, well, see, yeah, I mean, that works. I just finished a work of nonfiction that I wrote a review for. The review that took me like an insanely long amount of time.
Was it that long?
Oh my God, to me it's like,
I swear I It's like 4 or 5 hours, most of the ones that I end up doing.
I should probably have taken longer. I'm
just really slow, I think.
I just pounded out and like there. But yeah.
There we go.
It took oh my God. But it's about it's called Celestial Hellscapes, Cosmology as the Key to the Strugatsky Science Fictions. And I was like, science fiction and Russian, I am there. You know, I love the Strugatskys and this is great. My review is going to be in the Journal for the Fantastic and the Arts. I've never written for them before, but we'll see. If they're like some of these other journals, like you'll see my review in about 5 years, but that'd be great if it was sooner than that. Do you know I still have reviews from like early 2018, but anyway.
Yeah. Didn't you just have one for LA Book Review? Review Books, rather?
Yes.
And I'm assuming they're quick, at least.
They were quite quick. They were a 2-month turnaround, I guess. And you know, they asked me to review it, and I was like, dudes, like, do you not know who I am? Like, why? Well, I mean, it was fantasy, but it wasn't in translation.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Oh, I just assumed it was.
The woman writes in English. I'm like, English? What? But I mean, what am I going to say? No, you know? So I said, sure.
Hopefully they'll cover some translations then too.
Right? Come. But people do review it. Other people.
Yeah.
And then they asked me to do. I was like, ugh. But then, so I just finished Celestial Hellscapes, which was interesting. That's all I'll say. And yeah, I just started Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Volume 9, and I am finishing, I swear, the dreamed part. I don't know how I'm even going to review it.
I've occasionally seen some tweets from you on that, so that seems to, yeah.
The man is a genius, and his books are just overflowing with just thoughts and observations that are just these long riffs on just one image or one thought or I mean it's very and I forget what it's referential it's like hyper referential or something. There's something where like people they have like this thing where you say something like you'll say umbrella and they can go on about it forever, and he's just amazing. But it's like, how do you?
Isn't there a character in the Magic Mountain that does something like that?
Yes, there are two characters. Similar. Well, there are two characters that always argue about like metaphysics, and they're so great. I love the Magic Mountain. So wait, did you read the whole thing?
Oh no, I'm maybe 200 pages in. So that's one of the ones I'm reading currently. I love it. Yeah,
it's the best book ever written in
I've
history.
I've never read Thomas Mann before at all. So yeah.
Good. He's brilliant. Oh, I love that man. He was just the best. You know, I don't know. And Faison, I think is like laughing to himself, knowing that all these people will be trying to review it. And will fail.
But having a hard time, yeah.
Yes. And I think he's happy about that. He's got one section if you're anyone who's going kind of like, oh, should I read it? Should I not? I say yes, you should. You definitely have to be, prepared for a book like this, but he's got about, I swear I could be exaggerating, but it's like a 30-page rant about like a type of author, the type that churns out crap and gets international recognition for it and always gets coverage in the press and sells 1 billion books, and they're all just pieces of trash. And it's like he's trying to understand why this happens. And he's trying to, it's like, it's just,
people like simple.
Oh man. Yeah. People like crap. I mean, it boggles the mind, but yeah, some of this stuff that is like, it might as well say trash on the cover. And it's just like devoured and not only devoured, but then like highly acclaimed, and it's
Right.
like, really?
Why?
So it is such a mega rant as I've never read before, and it's pretty great. So he's just it's a lot about like a lot of he's from Argentina, and this book will I feel like only makes sense if you've read the invented part first. But you can totally read this and just, wallow. Well, okay. Not wallow, but like, bathe in the, just avalanche of ideas and thoughts and discussions of Nabokov and the Kinks and, Bob Dylan, and because he references all these things. But it's really kind of like an homage. Like if the invented part
you can totally immerse yourself into it.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, the invented part was kind of like a F. Scott Fitzgerald immersion, and the dreamed part is Nabokov. It's just a riffs on Nabokov and reading Nabokov and So that's the dream part. That's what I'm reading now. My brain is so scrambled. So you're reading The Magic Mountain.
Correct.
What else?
I'm reading, in terms of SF and translation, I'm reading a book you are well versed in that is titled Next Human.
Ooh,
by Francesco
nice.
Verso. So I purchased this a while back as a potential one to use for my biology and fiction course. And I just didn't have the time, and then also to read it beforehand, and then also thematically wise, I ended up going with Frankenstein in Baghdad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great.
And so now I'm getting around to reading this because not just for potentially a future year of the course, but the Apex publication, so Apex Book Company, is currently doing a back catalog blog tour. Mm-hmm. And so they are the publishers of Next Human, the translation, English translation. And I will be reviewing it not this Wednesday, but I believe I'm scheduled for the following Wednesday.
Oh, very cool.
On my blog, which is reading1000lives.com. 1000 is the number. So yeah, I have one review this week, and then Next Human is the week following. And then I think the last Wednesday of the month, I have a short fiction collection of theirs that I will be reviewing. So I have like a few chapters left on Next Human, I think. So,
well, Next Human, I think, was the very first review I wrote for Strange Horizons. It's great. Francesco is amazing. He's an author. He's an editor. He's like connecting Italian SF with like China. He's like been to China like 5 times. He publishes books and anthologies of just world SF, and he like really believes in it. And has really, introduced me to so many amazing writers. Mm-hmm. He is really like the SF in translation, just like world ambassador.
Yeah. And he just seems, I've had limited interaction with him, just occasionally, like, I think a message or so on Twitter or something, or a retweet, but he seems like a really nice guy. So
he's super nice. He's great. I met him in person finally at ReaderCon last year. But yeah, we had been talking over Skype and other things for a couple of years. And then, he and a couple other people were like, "You coming to Worldcon?" I was like, "That's in Dublin, right?" They're like, "Yeah." I was like, "Nope." And I would love to see Dublin, but I can't just hop on a plane and go to Dublin. The Worldcon for 2022 is supposed to be in Chicago, I think.
Oh, wow. That's actually manageable if that's the case. For you, particularly.
I will obviously do it's right there, but I also would like to go to Eurocon. Francesco has asked me to come to Eurocon in Fuji, Italy in 2021.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, I would love to. I'm glad I have this much time, though, because this can allow me to plan. It would be a huge undertaking.
And for me, it's hard for me to even do professional, like, microbiology conferences in Europe at this point, because that would be the way I'd probably have to end up doing it, is like make things coincide. But
right, exactly.
But yeah, even that's hard to do now. So
yeah, and I mean, I'm the primary caregiver of
yeah, exactly.
the 3 kids.
Hard to get away from the family.
I would probably only be able to go for like a couple of days, and I'm sure my in-laws would be happy to watch the kids, but still.
Unless you make it a family vacation coinciding. That's really how it has to be.
I suggested it, and no one seemed interested.
Really?
Even though they're from Italy, for God's sake. They're from Italy.
Yes.
And they went about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And I was like, anyone want to come to, in 2021? They were all like, I was like, So anyway, I hope I can go. That would be really
I hope so.
Fantastic. But yeah, so I think that's probably good for now. We're just kind of catching people up. There's so much to see for the rest of the year. On the site, I have listed all the things coming out. Again, Supernova Era in October. It's a pre-3-body trilogy book, just like Ball Lightning. So it's not going to be as like, complex and hard SF, knocking you over the head with multiple dimensions kind of book. But I love it because I love what Liu Cixin writes, because he's seriously one of the greatest SF writers living today. And some more stuff from Kuroda-han, some more Japanese vampire stories. Like, how can you get any cooler than Japanese vampire stories? So yeah, a lot of stuff coming out. Pretty soon we'll be looking to January, Daniel. Can you believe it?
Oh God, no.
I know, right?
Yeah, I've got to do some things before then. Oh God.
I don't even have anything. I only have 2 books listed for 2020, so I don't know. I don't know what everybody's waiting for.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a ton coming out. Yeah, announcements to come.
Yes, yeah, it's probably going to start soon. Working in publishing, I should know this, but it's trade publishing and non-trade publishing and academic publishing is all very different. But still, stuff is always slow in the summer. So yeah, we'll probably start hearing about a lot of stuff, and then I'm going to start feeling like, oh no, there's so much stuff to read. I haven't even finished reading what I want in 2019. So yeah, any other thoughts on the stuff?
The only other thing I wanted to mention briefly from August is the one short story that I did want to mention is one called Gila is Here by Ketty Stewart. And so this was translated from the French by Tishaya Kamai for Bewildering Stories. The translation itself I found to be a little too literal at times for the French, but nonetheless, it still gets the basic germ of the idea or the germ of the story across. And it's basically this short story that reimagines Henrietta Lacks, who, if you read Rebecca Skloot's or have heard of Rebecca Skloot's books on the immortal life of Henrietta Lacks, her cancerous cells were basically turned into a cell line for biological research. And so this story is basically the idea of her being reborn when she becomes cloned by a cult of disciples in the future. And so the story I just found interesting in terms of that theme. And then also I was just excited to find out about this author, Ketty Stewart. She's a writer of sci-fi and fantasy from Martinique. As far as I can tell from her website, this is the first English translation of her work. But she has several collections and novel out that just briefly looking at it seems. But just this one English translation and then one story, translated twice. One into Italian and once into Spanish. But yeah, I'm curious to discover more of her now, actually. So, because I've always liked authors from the Francophone world as well. So,
yeah, Martinique and Haiti. I mean, there's more and more coming out every year. There's the Francophone world is is very large.
And of course, I mean, obviously I gravitate towards noticing it, but
Yes, of course. I wish I could remember how to read a lot more French than I remember, but I could kind of like hobble through, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't be able to like, read it without a dictionary right there. I think you need to keep sending me things that you hear about because, half the time you're like, did you hear about this? And I'm like, what? What? No, what? Ah! So, you've got your ear to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it really takes, it seems, is people out there doing that because there's no, I mean, aside from you, there is no encompassing, outlet to say what's out there, so.
Well, yeah, and everybody sends me stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, I mean, I get people who are like dedicated SFT, regulars, and they're like, hey, this, that, and I'm like, oh, great. Oh, thank you. Oh my God, I didn't know about this. Ah. So without all of you wonderful people on Twitter and Facebook and emailing me and, and reaching out, like my site would be totally like not up to date, not current. It would, it wouldn't have all the things that it does because I really rely on people to, to just reach out and let me know. Cause believe me, I feel like, oh, I know what's going on. And then I find out about 3 things that I should have known about months before. And I'm like ashamed. Like, how did I not know? But there are a lot of publishers out there.
Oh, yes.
And they don't market very well in general. So, you would think that they'd be like, oh, an SF in translation site, and we're publishing a book that's SF in translation.
It seems so many publishers now rely on authors to do the advertisement for their stuff because they don't have many people in-house, so.
Well, anyway, that seems to be about it for now. Everyone out there, remember, you can contact me on Twitter at RCORDAS, and there's the Facebook SF in Translation page, Goodreads group, SF in Translation or Speculative Fiction in Translation, and of course Rachel at sfintranslation.com. And Daniel, where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at read1000, as in the number, lives, at read1000 lives.
Very awesome. All right. Well, we will talk to you guys soon. Happy reading.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Speculative Fiction in Translation, a member of the Skiffy and Fanty Network, hosted by Rachel Cordasco and Daniel Hauser. If you would like to contact the Speculative Fiction in Translation podcast directly, please do so at rachel@sfintranslation.com, or you can visit sfintranslation.com. Additionally, you can find Rachel on Twitter at rcordas and Daniel at read1000lives. To find out more about the podcasts on the Skiffy and Fanty Network, please visit us at skiffyandfanty.com. If you would like to support the network, you can do so at patreon.com/skiffyandfanty. To keep up to date on everything that is happening at the Skiffy and Fanty Network, please visit skiffyandfanty.com/newsletter. The music from this podcast is No Disclaimer by Jesse Spillane. To find more about this music, please visit freemusicarchive.org.